This is the DEFCON warning system. Alert status for 1530 hours, 18th August 2025. Condition green. DEFCON 5. There are currently no imminent nuclear threats at this time. The United States has removed any hope for Ukraine joining NATO, at least under current US leadership. In multiple statements ahead of today's Washington meetings with President Volodymyr Zelensky, President Trump said Ukraine will not be allowed to join NATO and urged Kyiv to drop its bid as a condition for ending the war. He also reiterated that Crimea will not return to Ukraine. These remarks come immediately after the Alaska summit with Russia and ahead of a high-stakes round of talks in Washington with European leaders present. In parallel, reporting continues to crystallize Moscow's proposed framework from the Alaska meeting. Russia seeks recognition of its control over Donetsk and Luhansk, a formal bar on NATO membership for Ukraine, recognition of Crimea as Russian, and a package of sanctions relief and cultural language concessions, offset by a proposed halt to further Russian advances and potential minor pullbacks in limited areas. Kyiv rejects ceding territory beyond current front lines. Removing NATO accession from the table would fundamentally restructure European security guarantees for Ukraine, pushing toward a bilateral or minilateral security framework, Article 5-like pledges outside NATO's treaty. That concept has been floated publicly by US envoys and reported by major outlets. Expect hard domestic politics in Kyiv. Any settlement that codifies territorial losses while excluding NATO membership will face severe resistance. Meanwhile, Russian kinetic pressure continues. Moscow launched strikes, killing civilians during the run-up to the Washington talks, which Kyiv characterized as deliberately cynical. Sami. Iran's first Vice President, Mohammad Reza Aref, said on August 12th that direct nuclear talks with the United States are possible if conditions are right, explicitly including no further military intervention, but he dismissed Washington's demand for a halt to uranium enrichment as a joke. This follows the June US-Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites and the subsequent pause in indirect talks. President Masoud Pezeshkian has also pressed for diplomacy in recent days, despite hardline pushback. Europe's E3, Britain, France, Germany, signalled a snapback of UN sanctions if Iran doesn't re-engage and comply by the end of August, escalating pressure while the window for talks remains ajar. Tehran's message is talks, yes, capitulation, no, especially on domestic enrichment, which Iran frames as sovereign and non-negotiable. That stance has been repeatedly articulated by senior leadership this year. A direct US-Iran channel would be significant after months of proxy confrontation and the June strikes, but E3 snapback risks hardening Iranian lines or pushing Tehran toward further nuclear escalation if mishandled. Reuters' deep dive this week emphasized a strategic debate in Tehran, diplomacy versus defiance, with Supreme Leader buy-in still the deciding variable. Moscow spent this week operationalizing its exit from self-imposed limits on ground-launched intermediate-range missiles, the class once governed by the INF Treaty. Russia publicly stated it continued development during the moratorium, and now has a substantial arsenal of such systems. Belarus then announced September 12th the 16 Zapad 2025 exercises with Russia, including nuclear use drills and scenarios, featuring the Oreshnik intermediate-range hypersonic missile. Russian leaders say Oreshnik is now in serial production and will be delivered to Belarus, elevating NATO's exposure on the eastern flank. The United States claims that China has informed them that China would not invade Taiwan during Trump's presidency, a claim neither confirmed nor denied by Beijing, and one Taiwan lawmakers greeted cautiously, stressing self-defense regardless of US assurances. Meanwhile, Taiwan's government urged citizens to spurn PRC-distorted WWDC anniversary events, calling them propaganda, designed to blur lines between OROK and PRC historical narratives and to soften resistance to unification. It's a reminder that influence operations and public opinion shaping remain core tools alongside PLA flights and maritime incursions. North Korea conducted artillery mortar competition drills on August 11, overseen by senior KPA leadership after denouncing Allied exercises and warning against perceived provocations. Pyongyang routinely pairs such drills with rhetorical escalations and occasional missile tests, a pattern to watch as US ROK exercises cycle. The DEFCON warning system is a private intelligence organization that has monitored and assessed nuclear threats by national entities since 1984. It is not affiliated with any government agency and does not represent the official alert status of any military branch. The public should make independent evaluations and not rely solely on the DEFCON warning system for strategic planning. Citizens are encouraged to familiarize themselves with protective measures in the event of a nuclear attack. In the case of an actual nuclear event, the DEFCON warning system will provide radiation readings from reported areas. Official government sources will provide local readings. For updates, visit www.defconwarningsystem.com for immediate information. Breaking news and important developments are also posted to the DEFCON Warning System Community Forum and the DEFCON WS Alerts feed on Twitter. Note that Twitter updates may experience delays. You can subscribe to the DEFCON Warning System mailing list for direct notifications. The next scheduled update is August 18, 2025. Additional updates will be issued as warranted, with more frequent reporting at higher alert levels. This concludes this briefing of the DEFCON warning system.